This video is made for adult collectors because this character literally hates everybody. I'm so glad Buzzworthy Bumblebee exists. This line is just full of reissues that were either hard for people to get or just figures people want more of. And now they're giving us reissues of Studio Series toys scalpers went after and just either in new decos or literally just the same toy. And Bonecrusher was added to the Nest line and so many people automatically think he's an Autobot. I mean, I urge you to follow the Instagrams of the designers because Sam, I believe he's the design director actually for Transformers, posted why he's part of Nest and pointed out that it says All Hail Megatron as a Decepticon symbol on it, which it does right there. Now, before I get any more into the video, I should probably still mention, I started my Patreon. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description down below. You do not have to do anything if you don't want to. I'm just saying it's there if you want to help the channel out. It will help greatly with things like TF Nation and all the stuff that are coming up later on down the year. The first exclusive video for the tiers that have exclusive videos is posted on there, and I mean I find it quite funny, so you can go check that out if you want. It again, it's linked in the description down below. And thank you to everyone who has contributed to it or is thinking about it or isn't. Thank you anyways, you know, hi, you're here anyways. Bonecrusher's deluxe toy from 2007 aged, and it aged not the greatest, so it's nice to finally have this mold. And this deco, I'm just gonna say it, is much better than the normal one to me. This bluish gray and gunmetal just works so well. On paper it seems kind of boring, but the way they've laid out the deco here is just done very nicely. He has all the proper details, the tooling looks amazing, the placement of parts, the proportions are all on point. The way the deco flows in the panels and the shapes really helps the shadows fall quite well along the body of the toy, leading to a very pleasing looking item. Like, it's very photogenic. I do have my issues though. For starters, his neck is basically immobile. The articulation is limited so much that there's really no point to trying to move his head. I wish it was on like a ball joint that stuck out a bit further at the base of his head so that he could look up and down and left and right a little bit more. Because right now all he can do is rotate his head, and you can't really get him into the running pose because he can't look up, which is annoying. The butterfly joints on mine are loose as hell, so his arms like to fall forward if he's leaning a bit, and he falls because those feet are weird as shit. And his claws are very fiddly. I wish certain bits of it had tabbing sections to get it to stay on the back. That way when you pick it up, it doesn't move around and out of place, which is very annoying to me. The old one also had that issue too, so, you know, pain. Oh, and I remember people saying his face could come off on the old one as part of like a gimmick thing. No, that's just a bad glue job on some of the figures because his face is not meant to come off. It is on there solidly. It's very much glued. Please do not try to rip that off. You might break it. He's a short Voyager, but it works well, and he's wide, like the Swallow wide. But he has gorilla arms. Why? He has no wrist swivels. So when you want his hands to sit at a more natural stance, the elbows are inward. And if you rotate his elbows forward to give him proper elbow joints, his wrists are forever stuck in the I need food pose. So it's just annoying as hell. It's 2018 this toy came out, and he's got gorilla arms. 0 out of 10. He does have 5mm ports on his arms though, so you can peg weapons in, which is really cool. I do wish his arms did the extending thing like they did in the film in this one frame, like a weirdo I am, but it still works. Don't worry, T-posing Bonecrusher can't hurt you. So he's very posable in a lot of areas, but also not very posable in a lot of areas, and it's frustrating. I honestly don't remember how a lot of the parts in the original worked, but I think he was around the same like way. Some parts were more articulated than others, and it felt weird. The head, it's on a pin right there, right? But they didn't give you enough room to really move the neck around, so it only goes like that far. And the head is it's technically on a ball joint, but it doesn't move. It does this. That's pretty much the only range you're gonna get out of it. So you can't turn his head left to right very well. He can't look up, so you can't really do that running pose from the film because he can't look up. He just looks at the ground the whole time and falls over. It's a real shame because that's the pose I want to get him into, and he just cannot do it because of the head. He does have butterfly joints due to the transformation. However, I do wish these pegged in. They don't tab in at all, and like I said before, they are quite loose, especially if you have the arm like this.
Yeah, there it goes. And so that's a bit annoying. They're both like that too. I wish they had a locking point. And then these little panels right here, these are part of the transformation. They don't have a locking point either, so they move constantly. And it's not a very pleasant experience trying to get the shoulders to stay. Shoulders at the actual shoulder are double hinged, so you can get them all the way up like that. They can rotate, so you can rotate them and then still move them up like this. But you can't move them out anymore when they're out like this. So you do lose that second joint there, but that's really for transformation. He's got a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow that bends like this, out of focus. There we go. Or double jointed elbow if you want gorilla arms, because oh yeah, this moves for some reason. The hands can open and close, which is nice. I like though how they gave him 5mm ports, because you can't put anything in his hands, even though he doesn't actually come with any weapons to speak of, which would have been nice if he came with like a pistol. Because in Revenge of the Fallen, I believe he had a pistol, because they reused Bonecrusher's model at one point. But nah, the claw. So the claw has like 1,000 joints in it. You can get it to do a lot. However, it likes to come off quite a bit right here. So I'm honestly just going to glue that at some point. And this does not tab in at all, this front of the truck section. And so you go to move it and it just starts doing that. So that's a bit annoying. But you have joint here, joint here, joint here, a mushroom peg, a joint here, 2 joints here, and then a swivel. So you can do a lot with the claw if you want to. However, if you pose it forward and you get him in an epic sort of chase pose, he falls over. Nothing at the waist due to how he transforms, which is completely fine. That's an articulation point I'm okay with them skipping out on. Hips can go forward, they can go back, they can go out like all the way. He also has these tiny little hip skirt pieces that don't really get in the way at all, so that's nice. You do have thigh rotation. You have a single jointed knee that bends about 90 degrees. Now the toes are weird. This does not tab in at all, so it moves a lot. And this also moves a lot. I wish these had like looping points to stay in place, because a lot of times I'll just end up flicking them out, especially this one. This one's really loose. And then he has ankle pivots, which is really nice. I like that. It does break the toe up a bit and look a bit strange, but I think this is a pretty good compromise for trying to incorporate that into this robot mode. But yeah, the rest of it is just sort of weird. You can get him into poses because you've seen them throughout the video, but they don't look the greatest a lot of times because you can't turn the head. He's got weird arms. The claw makes him fall over, so you gotta kind of like balance it properly. Because if I move this any farther forward, see, there he goes. So I'm gonna have to like leave this here, and now he's standing up straight. It has to do with the feet, because the feet are designed so weirdly. Not like, this is not Hasbro's fault. This is mainly like the design of Bonecrusher. He just doesn't have feet. He's got wheels and claws, and it just struggles to keep the whole toy standing, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
Transformation is a bit meh. Like, it has a specific order of operations to a lot of it, and you gotta make sure you remember that, or stuff starts colliding with other stuff and it gets annoying. I specifically don't like trying to tab in the legs to the bottom. Like, the hands are a bit uneven. It's so weird the way they did all that, and it just doesn't work a lot of the time to me, and it gets a little frustrating. Alt mode, though, looks amazing, but I do feel it needed to be a tad bigger, just a bit. Like, I know it scales with the Prime and stuff, but like, this kind of truck screams massive, and this toy just doesn't convey that. Hopefully an eventual MPM one fills that gap for me, because Optimus in Studio Series is too small, and Bonecrusher being scaled to him means Bonecrusher seems a bit too small. Same with Brawl, right? I think those guys needed to be much bigger. It's a bit gappy in some areas, which may bother some people, but it doesn't really bother me that much. The claw arm is great, but like inaccurate because movie kerfuffle. There's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to get into it, but I don't care that the arm's inaccurate. It looks badass, and this is such a great Transformers vehicle. When I move it though, this is where I have some problems. The front wouldn't tab in, and when it did, it fit really loosely. So I tried to like fix it, and it still doesn't work great. The front just comes right off. That doesn't tab in, and it's very annoying to me. That and some of the joints in the arm are a little loose too. Like, it does flop sometimes. I love the metallic blue they use for the windows though, and the tampos came out so clean. There it is again, the proof that he's a Decepticon. They cleverly hid the con logo behind the spare wheel because he's supposed to be in disguise, quote unquote, and that was intentional according to Sam, and I'm so into it. I can't wait to see what the rest of the Nest toy line is like. No, I am not getting Ratchet. I don't like the Studio Series Ratchet mold at all, and I'm not buying a third one. I love this. I think you need one. It has issues, yeah, but it's still enjoyable, and this mold is just awesome, and the deco very much helps that. I also got this at Toys R Us, And Toys R Us Canada is notorious for pricing their Transformers up by an extra $10. But this, the Prime and the Earthspark Deluxes, were all regular price. There were no upcharges on them, which I found very odd, but I'll take it. Hey, I'm glad they're not upcharging those. They still upcharge their other toys. I don't get it. But they didn't upcharge this one. So I'm happy with that. So yeah, definitely go grab one of these. It's neat. But that's my look at Nest Bonecrusher. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.